Year 4. So today we're going to be looking at fractions that are greater than 1. So we've been looking at fractions and we know that they are parts of a whole. Now sometimes you can have a whole and then some more parts of a whole. So that's where fractions greater than 1 come in. So for starters, we're just going to recap equivalent fractions. That's fractions that are the same, but have been split into different amounts. So just pause the video and see if you can match the equivalent fractions together. See if you can find the matching fraction from the left side for the right side. Okay, so the first one is 2/8. And that can be matched with 1/4. The next one is 1/4, and that can be matched with 3/12. Then we have 2/3, which can be matched with 8/12. And the last one is 3/6, which can be matched with 1/2. Well done if you managed to get those right. Okay, so now we're going to look at fractions greater than 1. So here, if I have 3/10, how many more parts do I need to have a whole? So if I colour in 3/10, and then I count how many I had left, I know that I needed 7 more tenths there. So I had 3/10 in the blue, then I needed 7 more tenths, and that would make my whole. Now my whole would then be 10 out of the 10 parts, and now coloured in, and that would equal 1 whole. So here, I'm going to shade the images below to show 31/9. Now I know that that's going to be more than 1 whole because 9/9 would be a whole. So any more than 9/9, I am going over 1. I've gone past my whole. So I'm now going to shade in 31/9 and see how many wholes and then how many fractions I have left. So here I've shaded in 31/9. So these boxes are split into 9 parts and we've coloured in 31 of them. Now I can see here that I have 1, 2, 3 whole rectangles coloured in. 3 whole ones. And then what I have left is 1, 2, 3, 4 parts of a 9. So 31/9 equals 3 wholes and then 4/9. 1, 2, 3 wholes and 4/9. Just pause the video here and see if you can make sure that you understand that. Okay, so this is another way of showing it, and this is a part whole model to show how many wholes we have and how many parts we have. So I'm going to look here at the wholes that I've got, and I've got 1, 2, 3 wholes. So I know that down here, I'm going to be putting in 3 wholes. Then to work out how many parts I've got, in this bar, I can see that it's split into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4 of those are coloured in. Who can think what fraction that might be? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5 coloured in. So I've got 4 parts left. So I've got 3 wholes and 4 parts. And that would be written as 3, 4 fifths. So I've got 3 wholes and 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5 left. Okay. So in your packs, you had some sheets to work on. These are the questions that are on those sheets. So I'm just going to work through them with you. So if you could get those now, if you've managed to print them off. If not, they are all here, so you don't need to worry about it. So number 1 says complete the sentences. So here we have a part-whole diagram, and it's showing you the whole here. And it's split into the wholes and the parts. So this is the fraction, the whole fraction that we're going to be doing. This is the whole, and these are the parts. So there are 7/5 altogether. So here I've got 7/5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I can see that I've got one whole. We've coloured in one whole. And how many fifths are left over? And that's split into down here. Good. It's 2/5 are left over. Same again. We have our part wholes. This is showing how many fifths there are altogether. Now we know they're fifths because each bar is split into 5 parts. So that's split into fifths. So all you have to do is you have to count up how many are shaded here. How many fifths are there all together? Good. So 5, 10, 11, 12, 13. There are 13 fifths altogether. So you would write 13 in this box here. Then we can see that there are some holes. There are some whole bars shaded in. So how many are shaded in? How many holes are there? So 13 fifths equals how many holes? Pause the video and write down your answer. Good. There are 2 holes. And how many parts? How many do you have left over from your holes? Pause the video and write down your answer. Good. You have 1, 2, 3 fifths left. So your whole sentence should say, there are 13 fifths altogether. 13 fifths equals 2 holes and 3 fifths. So this one, I'd like you to have a go by yourself. This one is split into quarters. So the bar is split into 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. So bear that in mind when you're filling in this sentences. So how many quarters are there altogether? Altogether, quarters equals how many holes and how many quarters have you got left over? How many holes and how many parts? Pause the video, write down your sentence, and tell me what the answers are. Okay, so let's see if you got it right. There are 4, 8, 12, 13 quarters altogether. And we can see that there are 3 holes. And how many are left over? There is 1 left over. So that's 1 quarter left over. So there are 13 quarters altogether. 13 quarters equals 3 holes and 1 quarter. Now for this one, it says shade the bar models to represent the fractions. Complete the number sentences. So for this one, can you draw 2 bars now for me if you don't have the sheets? So pause the video and draw 2 bars and split them into thirds. So you need 1, 2, 3 equal parts in both of your bars. Okay, and then it says shade the bar models to represent the fractions. So you need to show 5/3 in these bar models. So we know that the bars are split into thirds, and you need to shade in 5/3. Pause the video and do that now. Good. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coloured in, because it's asked you for 5/3. And then you can do that to work out how many wholes and how many thirds you have. So have a look at your bars and how many are completely coloured in. So you have 1 that is completely coloured in. And then how many thirds do you have left over? You have 2/3 left over, which is 1 and 2/3. Okay, it's the exact same for these two questions. So draw out your bars if you don't have the sheets. You need to split this one into thirds because it's asking you for 8/3. You need to shade in 8/3, and then you need to fill in this sentence below. So count how many wholes you end up with, and then count how many parts you're left with, and then write your fraction. For C, you need your 2 bars, and they need to split into fifths. So you need 5 equal parts in each bar. Then again, you need to colour in 8/5. Then you need to see how many wholes you have and how many fifths you have left over. So please pause the video and do that now. Okay, let's have a look and see what we've got. So 8/3, you're going to colour in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going to look at how many wholes I have coloured in. How many whole bars are shaded? So I've got 1 and 2. So 8/3 equals 2 wholes. And then how many thirds are left over? 1, 2. 2/3. So here we have 8/3 equals 2 wholes plus 2/3. You've got 2 and 2/3. C, we had to colour in 8/5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then it says how many wholes are there. So I can see I've got 1 whole coloured in and 1, 2, 3/5 left over. So I'm going to write that as 1 whole and 3/5. Be nice if that would stop lining across this page. Good. I hope you got those right. Here, this is going to get a little bit more tricky. But to help you, I would draw out the bars to show what you are doing. And that way you can very clearly see when you're getting the wholes and when you've got parts left over. For those of you that don't want to draw the bars out, think about what you would get to a whole. So the bottom number, the denominator, is how many parts there are and how many parts are then shaded in. So this one, to get to my whole, I need 2 out of 2. So how many times am I going to get 2 out of 2 before I get to 12 out of 2? Okay, so I'm going to draw that. You're just going to draw your bars until you get to 12 out of 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now remember, I know it's split into 2 because the denominator is 2. So I know that all my bars have to be split into 2. Okay, so here I can see that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12. So I've got 12 halves. Can anyone tell me how many holes I've got? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes and no parts. Just pause the video and think about why you don't have any parts. Good, it's because 12 can be divided by 2, and that will tell you how many holes there are. So 12 goes very nicely into halves. So I could do the same for all of these questions. I think I could do 12 divided by 4, and that would tell me how many holes I can have in 12 quarters. Now you could check that by drawing some bars with quarters. And then you could colour in 12 of them just to check that I'm right. I'm going to colour in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 quarters. I've coloured in 12 quarters there, and I can see that I have 3 holes. Now, 12 divided by 4 is 3. So I can answer these questions by doing the numerator divided by the denominator, the top number divided by the bottom number. When it gets to G and H, I then need to draw my bars out to see how many holes and how many quarters I have. And that will tell me the answer to G and H. Okay, pause the video and have a go at those questions for me. Okay, 12 divided by 6 is 2. So here I would have 2 holes. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So 12 thirds is 4 holes. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So 15 thirds equals 5 holes. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So 15 fifths is 3 holes. Now for G and H, you can draw them out, or you can try and find the nearest number when you get to 15 divided by 4. So I would do how many holes of quarters can you make before you get to 15? So you can make 3 holes and you're left with 3 quarters. For 15 halves, the closest is 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7. And then I'm left with 1 more. Now I know this can be quite a tricky concept, so if you need any more help, please do let me know, and then I will do my best to help you. So here we just have a little problem to end with. So Jack and Leah are discussing this image. Leah thinks it is 3 holes and 2 thirds. So she thinks there are 3 whole blocks coloured in and there are 2 thirds left over. Jack thinks it is 11 thirds. Now remember what we've been doing. We have been doing where a fraction is bigger at the top, so there's too many for the number underneath. So it is possible to have 11 thirds, but how many thirds is this? So pause the video and count up how many thirds are coloured in and see who you think is correct. When you think you know who's correct, convince me. Write why. How do you know who is correct? Pause the video now and have a go at this. Okay. Jack and Leah are both correct. And that's because Jack and Leah are both correct because 11 thirds is the same as 3 wholes and 2 thirds, which is what we've been doing. We've been looking at how many wholes and how many parts there are when the number at the top is bigger than the number at the bottom in a fraction. So you would have counted up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 thirds. And that's what Jack's saying. But you can also see that there are 1, 2, 3 wholes and 2 thirds left over. So both of them are correct. Okay, we're going to stop there. Well done, everyone. There are some extra challenge sheets in your packs if you would like to carry on. And again, if you need some extra support with this, please do let me know. Well done, everyone.